morning everybody. I am getting myself ready today because I'm going for a camper van trip in Romy the Roma home, and I will be doing a separate video from the event. But at the moment I am completely naked, my face is anyway, because I'm just doing some my skincare and makeup before I go, and I just wanted to make this video while I'm doing this because I haven't got much time this morning. I do want to do a quick video to just say a big shout out, big thanks to the feedback I've had on the last couple of videos I've done. I've done one on my people pleasing and my marriage history, and the one I did more recently was the budget. I revealed my budget as someone who was 59, retired at the age of 56. And as I've said all along, my income currently doesn't cover my living expenses, and I make it up with savings. And generally, I have had so many great comments, helpful comments. Just thank you so much. Honestly, it's so great. It really is. And as I said on the videos themselves, I fully expect people to challenge me and not agree with me. And I think that's what makes this channel so lovely and so much of a community, actually, because I don't make these videos for everyone to say, oh my God, Julia, you're amazing. Oh, wow, I want to be like you. Can you tell me how you do what you do so I can do it? Because we're all different. Our situations, our spends, our life history, completely different. I'm doing it because I just thought it might be helpful for some people. And from the comments, I can see that many of you are finding some help or just interest. I know when I go shopping to the supermarket, I love looking what people are buying, and I love watching videos of people discussing their spends. Find it really interesting. So I think we all like a little peek into other people's lives, don't we? And I think my finance video, the one I did where I shared my expenses, has proved two things. One, I think the spectrum of simple life, frugal living is very broad. And it's very relative, isn't it? So many people have said on that particular video, because essentially my living costs currently are my budget, the money I allow myself for my living expenses comes to about 20,000 a year. And I choose to run a camper van. I have an elderly dog with diabetes and vet requirements, and I choose to buy some medication on a private prescription for myself. So yes, I am not a low spender, agreed. However, there's some elements that I think I'm reasonably frugal, or simple anyway. I think the general impression was that I'm a big spender from the people on this video anyway. As I said, I think a lot of people who come onto these videos are coming because I talk about sort of a simple life, living on a low retirement budget. But as I've always said, I do choose the way I live, and I top it up with my savings. The second point, probably more important, that I think that video has shown, my reason for doing that video was because a few weeks ago I saw this headline. It was on the BBC, but it was from this study, the UK Retirement Living Standards, which sort of discusses 3 levels of income needed in retirement, and probably is designed to get people to take their retirement more seriously when they're younger. And the moderate was the one I took objection to. The headline was on the BBC and in other media, 3/4 are not going to earn enough in retirement to pay for a moderate standard of living. And when I looked at the figures, the moderate income for a single person was 32,000, and I thought that's a lot of money, that's a lot of income, and the majority of people in my comments agreed. I thought it'd be interesting to have a little look at my living costs, and I live what I think is very comfortable. And yes, I do enjoy my camper van. Could cut back if I needed to. Currently, I'm lucky enough I don't need to. So I thought I'd put my costs out there, and as I say, the end result was around £20,000, which has kind of proved my point. A lot of you in the comments were saying, that's a lot of spend. I live on a lot less than that, and I live happily and comfortably. So in a way, it's kind of proved the point, hasn't it? That those moderate standards of 32,000 for a single person, most people are living, I'm living 10,000 beneath that, and I think I live very comfortably. So most of us are living a lot less than that, which I think is comforting. Comforting for those of you maybe who are not yet retired and who are thinking about it. So it was a useful exercise, I think. And I know there's been a lot of people giving me well-meaning, I know, very worried about my money's going to run out, and have I thought about inflation and tax, and could I cut money here, and why don't I think about not having my GLP-1s? And I know the advice is well-meaning, but I wasn't really showing you my figures for advice on how I can cut back, because as I said, I've thought out all I spend, and I appreciate the advice, but I'm comfortable with what I'm spending. And somebody wanted to know what savings I've got. Now, I think there's a limit to what I will share publicly. I shared my outgoings. I thought it would be interesting for some of you to see. I'm not going to talk about my savings pot and all the rest of it, because kind of it's irrelevant. My point in showing you that video wasn't, look, all of you can do this, why don't you do this? And I'm living beyond my means and you can too. I wasn't saying that. I'm comfortable, I've got my savings. And as I said, I'm growing my income on social media. That's the intention. So sharing my savings strategy isn't going to help anyone. You've got to do your own figures. And I think most people are aware that that is the case. You do your own figures. And my advice would be, go and look at the retirement living standards. There is so much information on that website. You can drill in and see what your spend is. Do a spreadsheet. You know, you might already have done it. Anyway, enough said on that. We won't cover that anymore. This other point I want to make that's become apparent from a couple of videos I've done actually. In the comments, I've said all along, I know people aren't going to agree. Wouldn't it be a boring, dull world if we all agreed with each other? If I did a video on my relationship history, my people pleasing, my spend, my money, my lifestyle, my choices, the fact that I'm living more expensively than my income, it would be a dull video if everyone came on and said, oh wow, that's amazing, great. I love the fact that people have differing opinions. I love the fact that people want to help and give me advice. I love it. And I think, you know, for others watching the video, reading the comments can be helpful. And it does what I'm wanting to build here, which is a community of people in similar situations. And we haven't all got to agree with each other. And I'm sure people watching my videos, when I've been vulnerable, I told you things about my life that a lot of people think I probably shouldn't share. People will make judgments. We all do, whether it's a conscious or unconscious. We will have a bias. When we watch a video about someone, we will make judgments, and then we'll watch more of their videos and we'll either confirm or rethink what we think about that person. And absolutely, of course we do. We all do. However, the comments, in my opinion, are showing something a little bit more worrying about the society we are living in now. And I see this not just on my videos, by the way. I watch on social media. I like to watch people who are intentionally single, because this is the phase of my life that I'm in now. I find it interesting. I like to see other people, how they've got to the position they're in. And not everyone wants to be single. I get that. A lot of people are in very happy marriages, and flipping heck, how amazing is that? But for me, I like to watch these videos of women of all ages, by the way, young, old, and in between. For one reason or another, have come up to say, I relish being single, and all the reasons. And I love watching these videos, but I look at the comments and I am really horrified at some of the comments. Mostly from men, I'm sorry to say. I know not all men are like this. I'm not a man hater. I have a son, I have a grandson, and I don't object to men. But I worry that there's a part of society that think it's okay to come out with hate on these people who are saying I'm intentionally single. And a lot of the comments are saying the same thing. It's almost as though we are insulting the male generation by choosing to be single. And a lot of men seem to be really affronted and challenging this belief that we can be single and happy. And the stereotypes come out. You are going to be an old woman who has cats, or you're going to be a lonely old spinster, or you are going to, what if you need DIY? And it's like, it does show something quite strange, doesn't it? But anyway, back to the comments on my videos, because I haven't particularly talked about the single stuff, so I'm not getting those. But there's been one or two comments that people seem so inflamed. When I talked about my relationship pattern, the age of 59, kind of looking back, doing a lot of self-reflection and coming to the conclusion that a lot of the things I've done in the past have been because of a trait of people-pleasing. And I talked at length. Now, some of the comments on that video, like I said, people will form an opinion about me based on watching videos, and that's absolutely fine. But the comments, there was one in particular that diagnosed me. Actually, no, there were two on that video, diagnosing me based not on knowing me in real life or getting to know me and my story in more depth. They watched one or two videos and have diagnosed me as being an attention seeker, because I've got multiple social media channels, got 2 YouTubes and a TikTok, and because I've been married 3 times, they've diagnosed me as being an attention seeker. Now, that may be true. I'm not denying it. Maybe I am. But you can't possibly diagnose someone based on what they've shared in 2 videos. But fair enough, they want to say that, that's okay. The second comment was a little more hostile and was essentially, again, another diagnosis, essentially saying, you are a serial upgrader, you show no self-reflection, and something along the lines of, you're not a people pleaser, you're the very opposite. Again, based on watching 2 of my videos. Now, they might well be correct. I'm not challenging what their opinion they formed, because we all have opinions. And I'm not challenging the fact that they want to come out and say it. But interestingly, both of those comments came with this little, almost an excuse for why they were saying what they were saying, was if you put yourself on social media, you can expect pushback. And both people, in fact, it might even be the same person, perhaps they got 2 different accounts. You can expect this if you put yourself on social media, and you can expect this pushback. Now, this is why I know I am recovering from my people-pleasing. The old me would have been horrified and upset that someone had come into my comments and said those, and yes, probably triggered me with my feelings of, yes, I probably am. Maybe what I said, yeah, maybe I actually am an attention seeker. What can I do? What can I do? I must come on and defend myself. And I would have gone in the comments or deleted the whole video, or, you know, tried to say, no, I'm not. Honestly, I'm there. I'm really a nice person. I know that's what I would have done. Probably I would have deleted the video and run away and cried. And I know I am no longer that person, because I can accept that people will say that. I'm absolutely fine. This is the bit I'm worried about, and not for me, but for society in general, that yes, when you give yourself a social media platform like this, when you come out and you make videos about personal things, as I said, people can have opinions, and yes, you can expect some pushback, some challenge. But these comments, these type of comments, this diagnosing me based on watching a couple of videos and putting that out there, that's not pushback. That is, at best, judgment. And I think shows another thing that I'm just generally worried about. It's almost as though people feel it's okay to come out with these really, really quite outrageous, and I, you know, they're not the worst. I know a lot of other people in social media have terrible, terrible things that really affect people's mental health. But it's almost okay because we can say that because you're on social media, so this isn't pushback, guys. We need to do better. I'm sure some of you are sitting there now saying, look at her getting all defensive. I'm not defensive about what you think about me. I'm not defensive that you think I'm an attention seeker, not a people pleaser, a nasty, horrible person who's out for views and money. I don't mind. You can think that. You can make a comment to suggest that. But what I noticed with particularly one of the comments was when I go back with almost a challenge back, it starts then this, I learn for me, is they didn't want me to think that about myself. They wanted a row. They wanted an argument. And this is the thing that worries me. The antagonism in the reply, and almost, you see, you're showing yourself as defensive. Answer my points. You know that they want you to engage. They want a row. They want, for whatever reason, whatever needs and wants they get out of it, whatever kicks they get from doing this. I wonder, and I'm not going to get personal about individuals, but people who make these types of comments, I wonder, do you have children? Would you be happy with your children, male or female, going on social media and making something vulnerable about themselves? Would you be happy with people coming into the comments, diagnosing them, telling them they're not nice, basically? Would you like that? And that's the point I want to make, not for me, but let's challenge, let's do better, let's be a little kinder. We are surrounded in the world with so much hate, so much division, and, you know, people are blaming, you know, but what we're doing wrong. We're turning on each other. We're turning on each other when we should be building each other up. Now, there are some people out there, some wicked people. I'm not saying we've got to, you know, support everyone and, you know, be so, you know, people do enrage us. I get enraged with some things. But instead of going on social media and just posting something like that, which does nobody any good, does it? You know, none of us win when we go on social media and make hateful comments. Why don't we be a little more kind? That's all I'm suggesting. I don't want people coming in my comments agreeing with me. I don't want people, I like the challenge, I do. But yeah, let's not just dive in and attack people. That's my little thought for today. I had to come on and say it. And I shall look forward to what comments I get on this. I do hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I think it's going to be nice and warm here in the UK. And I'll look forward to another video coming to you from Romy. Take care. Bye.